Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines. And I say another, this is the final episode of Auridon. Yes, the final build is going to go into our city. So we're just having a little look at the nighttime view here because, yeah, she's filled out pretty nicely. We've got our commuter town in the main city of Auridon, complete with all the different amenities you could possibly want in a city. And that is why it is coming to a close, sadly. Now, one thing to note as well, I've just done a little bit of touching up of some of these back roads. You'll notice down here we've added in some extra little bits of highway, tidied up some of the networks down the end of the Iron Grandpa district here too. So let's have a little look in daylight. So we've just added in the basic two-way highway, kind of connecting up some different areas here, and it is actually getting some use, which is quite nice. And this just gives people various different options for getting around as well, so it should just help with traffic flow. We've kind of connected up Cadbury with all the way over to Iron Grandpa over here, and then some back route options for some of this industry to get around as well, coming out of various different options here. We've also connected it across this way, as I realised it was quite a long way round from here. Had to go all the way through Cadbury and back round, or all the way through the city as well. So yeah, it's given the industry a little bit of different options for heading up into the Cadbury Industrial District there. Making use of these smaller highway roads. And of course we did have the final Auridon live stream where everything broke. For anyone who was on it. Our simulation completely died by the end of the episode. But it is back. We have done a safe mode reset and we are all good again. And everything's actually running pretty smoothly. But we added in this MI5, MI6 base over here. Lots of high-tech security with the cameras all around, various different armed guards arming, every which entrance. We have this little, this underground bunker over here with our armed guards outside. Yeah, kind of happy with how this area's come out. And then just finished it off with a little bit more residential over this side. Looking at some nice car parking road patterns around them, and I think these tower blocks just add just a nice little pop of height in front of our downtown this side. Actually, that's quite a nice view with the river in front here. But yes, today is the final build and we have got a really special one for you to finish it off. And this is something that loads of you have asked for throughout the whole series of Auridon. And I think Auridon absolutely lends itself to this kind of build. So we are going to finish off with almost something that we sort of semi-started with. You may remember back to, goodness, I think it was episode 5 potentially, where we did the Bill Air Country Club over here. Well, we're going to go one better than this, and we are going to give Auridon a massive country club and golf course. So we are going to be building our golf club right over here, right on the outskirts of Auridon, filling in a nice little coastal golf course, I think, over here. And the reason why I've chosen this is, we zoom in really super awkwardly. You've got really nice views over the water to the downtown there. Auridon's so flat, there's not much else. But you can see the skyline really nicely from the coastline there, so I thought this would be a good spot to put it in. So first things first, we're going to give it a little bit of road access by adding in yet another country highway access from over here. Crossing all the way through actually and connecting up to the highway with a very basic junction that side. So let's go ahead and get that in. So we'll just find our national two-way highway road and we'll start connecting it in. I don't want to go too close to this junction. And this is a 2-lane road as well, on National Road. So let's just make sure we've got snapping turned on. So we are just going to come out of this junction here and we'll create a nice 90-degree angle. And we're just going to snake it, essentially, across the countryside this way. Now, I don't want to delete the rocks in the river, so we'll come right up to it and then we'll actually turn collision off. We may have a couple of trees in the road, but that's all right. We'll sort that out after. And we're just going to snake it. I think we'll just cross it with Anarchy over that road for the moment. And then we'll bring it round actually fairly close to these train tracks. Follow this round for a little bit. And then again, we'll just use Anarchy for the moment to cross underneath there and bring it out to a highway connection over here. And of course we want to make sure that this is forced to ground. And we have got some bumpy terrain I think over here, although it doesn't look that bad. So let's grab our nodes with Move It. We'll highlight all of those. We'll say level 2 terrain height. Now we'll come out of Move It and then we're going to force these to the ground just by upgrading them here like that. And then with the bits that are crossing the highway and the rail track, we just need to sort these out. So let's again grab the nodes either side of the rail. So here and here, in fact, let's actually just grab this node and hold Alt so we keep that nice smooth road pattern that we've put in, and then we'll just lift these up by using page up and then move it here. So we get a fairly decent, well, enough clearance at least for the rail, but not too high is what we want here. So let's upgrade that to a bridge section. That is probably a little bit low. So let's grab these nodes again and we'll just lift them up a tiny bit further. And also make sure that they are level in height to each other, which will help there, and that will be absolutely plenty of clearance. And then I'm just going to smooth off the sides with a little bit of Move It slope tool. And we can see the train passing, we've got plenty of clearance there, so no problem there. And we'll just go ahead and do exactly the same thing with this highway connection here. Like that. Okay, so now before we carry on with the build, let's just jump into a quick time lapse and we'll get a really nice simple intersection into here. Yeah, there we go. A pretty simple three-way intersection here. I've just copied our IMT markings that we've used elsewhere in Auridon, but yeah, I quite like the over and under effect of this one. Nice and simple there, and just surrounded by a bit of trees. I'm not going to go overboard with detailing because this is so far out of the main city. So let's come on to the plan. So I am going to build a big country resort, and the main focus of this is going to be this Greenbrier Golf Resort asset by the Big Easy. I will link it in the description below. This is an amazing asset, like the perfect asset, I think, for this kind of out of town countryside golf spa resort, which is what I'm trying to go for here. So yeah, we definitely want to be placing this in. So this asset is so grand and it absolutely warrants a really big, grand, fancy entrance, I think, for it. So what we're going to use is actually the 2-lane country lane that we have used elsewhere in Auridon. And we're going to bring out an entrance for it, like a very long, a very long entrance for it. And we're going to wind this through some woodland. So we'll keep that in mind as well when we come to it, that we need to do some detailing around this. And we're going to keep it going out straight here. And then what we're going to do is come round a bend and basically create a really big fancy road network into the asset here. So we'll go like that for the moment, and then what I do want to do is have 2 rows which are sort of parallel to this. We may need to use Move It to fix this in a second. I think we'll come out with 16 units here. Then let's go ahead and get our asset and place this in. So it is exactly 4 units wide. Okay, so let's grab this, and then we know that we can put this in parallel to it here, and that should fit nicely onto the end of it, I'm hoping. It does not. And then what we'll just do is create a crossroad for it like that, and then we should be able to put the asset onto here. Now it is actually a park asset, so it acts as a park, so it either needs to be in a park or roadside. Obviously we're going to connect this onto the roadside here. And then what I'll do is just delete out that road. And I'm thinking here as well, I'm not too keen on the fact that we've got all these road markings here and the arrows and all the such like that. So let's go into Network Multi-Tool. We're going to use the unlock function. We're going to unlock these 2 segments of road here and upgrade it to, I think, our unmarked suburban street would be nicest for this. So there we go. We have no longer got those road markings. And then I'm thinking as well with this, I'm just going to check. Can we use our brush tool to cover up that ruined texture? Yes, we can. Okay. So what we're going to do alongside this, I'm actually going to copy pretty much the design that Big Easy put on the workshop that is in some of his screenshots, because I really, really like how he's done it. There's a lot of gravel features with bushes all around it in the centre here, and then a few little car parking spaces lining the road up to the resort. So I feel like that's just absolutely perfect. So I'm literally going to rip off his ideas from the workshop in this particular case. So let's actually just firstly centralise this road coming out of here. So I'm going to turn off all snapping for this, and we're going to eyeball it in. So we'll have it coming out like that. Then we'll try and get it as straight out as possible, and then this can come up to meet our road here. So we'll make a nice smooth connection with a snapping on here to join this back up like that. That's a little bit wonky, so let's just move it. And yeah, we'll just snap some of these into place, so that's a little bit of a smoother connection there. And then from here what we can do is just very simply join up these curves, so we create a nice kind of roundabout centre focal point for our entrance here. So then in terms of the car parks, now we do have our little 1x4 car parking spaces, which I really quite enjoy and I've used a lot in Auridon. And they work really nicely up against a road like this to create little car parking spaces. If we just hold Alt with move it, we can turn that round. Now we need to bear in mind the pedestrians will be walking along this sidewalk here, so that's why I am going to use brush tool to fill in some of those gaps. And we're just going to line this very, very simply. Try and line these up as best we can, like that. And then what we'll do is grab all 4, copy it, hold Alt, so move it and spin it so it's exactly level. Then we obviously want to eyeball it into the same positions as these ones. Now we've maybe got a little bit long here actually. I think we should cut off this one. I want to get this really nice and symmetrical looking, so that will do for the moment. And then yeah, we'll go ahead and grab our brush tool, and we're just going to make sure that this is all concreted all the way up to the side of the road here so that it creates a nice entranceway in. Get our smaller one just to fill in that gap there like that, and do exactly the same thing the other side. Then for the centrepiece, I'm going to hope that pedestrians aren't going to walk in the middle of this. So what we want to do is find a really nice hedge to line this with. So I think we're actually going to use these and sink them into the ground, because then we can get some really nice curves with it, because it's just a essentially 1x1 asset here. So let's just go ahead and reduce that spacing. So we could probably do it to 1.5. Yeah, that feels nice. So then let's bring it out of there, and we are just going to very simply follow this all the way around to create a nice hedged in centre bit. And we'll leave a little gap at the end here so that people can get in and out if they so wish. And then in here we will grab all of the hedges like this, and we are just going to press page down and sink them into the ground nicely so that it's not too high there. And then in amongst it, I'm going to grab gravel surface painter, and we're going to fill in this whole lot here. So like that, but it does look maybe a little bit extreme, but I think with some nice planters in the middle of it, it's going to look pretty cool. And of course we do want to come up this side and just hedge in around where all these car parks are here. Like that. So yeah, this is a kind of starter for this really grand entrance into this main country mansion here. But what I would like is also some other facilities around it, so not just the mansion itself. So I'm actually thinking with this road, let's actually take off this bend here. Let's grab it again, and we'll carry on with freeform. And we're just going to bring it round like this. And again, we'll have this kind of tracing through woodland here, so it won't look too strange, I don't think. And then we're just going to connect it in nicely up to this highway here. I've actually got a lot of cars using this. I wasn't expecting that. Using it as a cut through. And then again, we'll join it back up into there. So that now gives us our kind of nice fancy entrance. Obviously, lots more detailing to do around this, but that is a good start. So then in terms of facilities as well, of course, I'm thinking the riding stables would go quite nicely around this golf and spa resort. So let's grab that and we will just plop it in here for now. Again, like I feel like this asset definitely needs a little bit more careful placement than just this. So let's actually draw it away from the road slightly and we'll give it its own entrance, along with a few car parking spaces as well, I think. But then with this one, what we could do is actually use a little bit of gravel surface painter in here to change this into a slightly more rural kind of car park type of vibe. And of course, again, it's going to need detailing all around it to make this sit in nicely. And we want to get this back edge really nice here. So let's go ahead and use brush tool again for that to give ourselves some nice straight lines. So something along those lines. And I'm thinking with the hedge border for this, we'll go for something a little bit wilder. So we'll actually use, ironically, the wild hedge, I think, for this to create a border. So something like that will do quite nicely here. And then if we start to kind of get the sort of end vibe that we're going to go for here, what we're going to have is lots and lots of woodland all around this. So it will be quite sheltered. We might have a little bit of a view through from the road so they can see that the riding stables is there. And what I will do in detailing as well is bring out some country tracks from this, which is going to join into the back of the golf course and kind of follow it around. Kind of like you could come to the riding stables and not just like ride in the little paddock here, but also go out on a nice country track around the golf course, riding your horse that way. Okay, so let's come on to the golf course assets themselves. So I am going to be using this set of 18 holes by Maverick 55. Again, the collection for these will be linked in the video description below. Now, these are pretty cool. Now, when I first placed them, I was like, oh no, I can't use these because of the colours. But of course, we have repaint. So we can do some nice tricks with them to help them blend into Auridon a little bit better. But you will notice as well, these do also act as park assets. So what we are going to want to do is put in a park area over this whole area, which I've actually already done in testing. There you go. So let's just fill this out a little bit further. And then, of course, we're going to need a main gate for it. So for the time being, I'm just going to plop in one of the gateless entrances for the main city park. I think actually we'll use the gravel entrance for this. And I'm literally just going to place it in here for now, so that we've got it and we can start placing down our assets. So arranging these, I think, is probably the trickiest part of a golf course. But of course, what we're looking for is the tee box. So that's the start of the hole. And that is actually, if I just plop this in, that is that little bit down here. So that's essentially where the golfers start from. I am no golfer, so I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong. But we want to place the start of the next hole at the end of the first hole. So this is the first one here. So this is where they kick off from. This is the end where they're going to find a flag and a hole, and that's where they need to get their ball into. And then we're going to place the second hole, the tee point for the second hole, somewhere near the end of this one. And yeah, as mentioned, these look horrendous like this. But if we come into repaint, we can have a little play with the colours of this. We can get it looking much more Auridon-like with a little bit of playing around. So this blends in much, much better to the grass and is slightly less obvious from above. So let's just copy that, and you'll see when I put in hole number 2, you'll see the difference. So when we zoom out, that one's kind of almost a luminous green on the fairways on the outside. The green we can't really do too much about. It's very green, but I'm fine with that. It should be heavily manicured grass anyway. But yeah, we definitely want those fairways to be a little bit darker, so let's just paste in that colour. And there we go. So that looks a little bit better. So what I am going to do now is go ahead and place in all 18 holes of our golf course, and also this collection as well, I would add, does come with a driving range, which is massive as well. So we're going to try and get this in somewhere too. Probably near what we'll have as the golf club. Probably near what we're going to have as the golf club, which will be somewhere in this area between the riding stables and the main spa hotel, is what I'm going to say there. And then we'll have the golf course spreading out all the way around the hotel like this. Obviously making room for some grounds at the back here because I want to put in some nice plazas and some nice gardens at the back of this house as well as at the front here. And potentially some other little amenities and maybe a couple of little village houses around it too. But for now, let's just go ahead and get in our holes and we can work on the golf clubhouse afterwards. So there we go, and we have just got the driving range up here, and then we've got the first 8 holes coming up to this point. And I did decide to add in a water feature. Clearly this needs a lot of detailing around it, but this hole 9 is you tee off on one side of the river and try and get into the other, which I kind of thought would be a little fun idea anyway. Make the hole a little bit more difficult. But the first 8 holes, as mentioned, are all on this side. So what I'm thinking is if someone wanted to just come in and do 8 holes, they could come around this side and then there would be a path. We'll put this in the detailing time lapse to come back to the golf clubhouse, which will be situated here. Instead of just going on and carrying on and doing the full 18 holes. That was kind of my idea behind it. Equally, I suppose if they just wanted to come in and do the last 8, they could easily do that too via the path net that we're going to put in. So what I do want to do around all of these is have a concrete path network. So we're just going to use the basic pavement path, and basically what we are going to do, and I'll do most of this in the detailing time lapse, but we're going to really follow these greens really closely like this and try and like tuck them in as best we can to get rid of some of that ruined texture as well. I don't mind seeing a little bit of it, but try and get it as close up to it as possible, because then around that we'll get our forest brush in. And we're just going to kind of surround it and help blend in these greens a little bit. So we'll need to take collision off and, yeah, get them right up to the green to try and minimise the effect of this raised element that we have with all of these golf greens here. But I think once we've done that, it's going to blend in really nicely. And of course, we'll also have the dirt track running around the whole estate, probably only this side for the horses, maybe out into the forest a little bit this way. So that's going to kind of be the general idea of it. And we've left enough space here for some nice garden detailing behind the main house. Lots of paths going round the lake as mentioned and detailing and things like that. But we do now want to come on and design a little golf clubhouse for ourselves here. So we'll grab our rural road, I think, for this. And we're just going to bring out an entranceway for it. So we'll just do it like that for a second. Because what I would like to do for the golf clubhouse is do a little bit of building fusing for the last time in Auridon. But we're going to use randomly the Swordfish Seafood Grill combined with the Historical Library from the Seaside Resorts Pack. Now, I know that's really, really weird, but they have similar roofs, and I kind of think they merge in together quite nicely because I want something relatively low, not too bulky. Maybe a couple of stories, and I definitely want the effect of like a bar or a grill or restaurant or something attached to it, which you kind of often find in golf club houses. So this is what we're going to have here. We're going to put it pretty close to the driving range here, which will have path access to it, and also to hole 1. But also we have this little practice green as well, which I want to put right upside, I think, the main car park that we're going to bring in here as well. So let's go ahead and put that in. So we'll grab parking lot roads for this as always. And I think we'll have a fairly large car park for the golf club here. So let's actually just bring out one little segment like that. And we're going to try and make a relatively interesting car parking design for this. So I think we'll then use the ones with the car parking spaces on the side of it to flow around. Now you're going to have to bear with this for a second because I have an idea of how I want it to look. And we're going to bend this out and bend this one out, essentially, so it's sort of almost circular coming into it. And then we'll make this one a little bit bigger here. We use a little bit of no controller on this. We can kind of close this up a little bit. So we get a little bit more room for parking on this inside here, although I have just realised actually that segment is the wrong way round. So let's redo that. So yeah, I am thinking something like that. So we just want to go ahead and get the car parking spaces in now. There we go, which looks a little bit strange right now, but I think it will look better once we get to do a bit of detailing around it. And I certainly think we do want to use a bit of brush tool here or a bit of surface painter just to extend out the front of this complex, and we'll bring it round to the edge of the car park. Try and get it in relatively smoothly like that. So that kind of gives us the front of the golf clubhouse here, and of course around this we are going to want amenities. So I have a little area for golf carts and club bags and things like that, I think, as well around here. So again, lots and lots of detailing to be put in. But that should sit in fairly nicely. And one other thing that is really important is obviously we want to provide easy access from the main hotel into this golf clubhouse. So we have got this path here, which I'm thinking we can definitely utilise. So I'm thinking we're going to come out this side and we'll wind our way in around the practice green, around the side here, and just bring it to connect up to this car park. So we'll turn collision off for this and we'll just bring it in like that. And then the main path network for the golf club can then feed into here. And maybe just to make this a little bit more interesting, if someone's got their golf pass, we could turn that into a little triangle with a bit of detailing in the middle of it as well. So I think with all of these main little assets set up, it is now time to come in and do a bit of detailing. I forgot to add, I have added in a park maintenance building down here too, which I just thought really fitted the vibe next to the riding stables there. It has a kind of similar barn look to it. And I think we've actually only got one in the whole of Auridon, so good to have another one in. So yeah, we'll go ahead and detail this all up, and this is going to be a pretty epic job because I do want to put in a few little country houses along this road, and potentially actually some even out along our country highway connector road along here as well, just to flesh out more of that sort of rural country vibes that we're going to have in Auridon. And tons of detailing to be put in all around the golf course, the lake, the grounds of the main spa hotel. Maybe we add a little sauna as well somewhere, I'm thinking. Some other little activities for the visitors to do. So this will be a long final time lapse of Auridon, but I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be right back. So there we go, we have got the final Auridon building. I'm actually quite emotional thinking about this. But I don't know, we may be back into Auridon when new content launches. We shall see how it goes. It's not like the city's completely broken. Now, for any eagle-eyed viewers out there, you may have realised I'd only plopped in 17 holes. I realised the error of my ways, and we have now corrected that. So we do have a full 18-hole golf course here now. With the first 9, again, couldn't do my maths, the first half being this side, and the second 9 being this side. So there is this nice cut-through path, as we mentioned. So you can just go and do the first 9 holes if you wanted to, or the second 9, and it's nice and easy to get around. So if we start off having a look at the little details, we'll come down to the golf club house first. We have put in the AGC, the Auridon Golf Club flower pattern in the middle here, which I thought was a nice little touch. Around our practice green, we have got in some little picnic tables, and around the whole golf course, I'd add there's lots of undergrowth underneath all the trees, so it feels very natural, very kind of enclosed and forested around the whole course. I've also chucked in an information booth and a toilet, and I absolutely love this little shot down here as you look up into the big driving range just here, sloping up the hill. I'm really, really liking this view. Next to our little golf buggy hire centre here, a couple of prop sims in there as well. And of course some signs to direct people around the path. And then out this side we come onto our bridle way. So out of the back of the stables we have done the nature reserve path, which loops all the way around the forest out the outside here, through the golf course this way and back round. Or they can take an extra route around the lake if they want to here as well. So lots of nice walkable horsey tracks for those visiting the stables. And then, yeah, if we come down to the golf course, so yeah, we've done this pathway all the way around all of the holes, of course, kind of lining them up. We've got lots of trees and undergrowth around the whole thing to make it feel very natural. But it just loops around the whole course, so this concrete pathway does go literally absolutely everywhere, so those on their golf buggies can get around nice and easily. Then we come on to some of the holes, which are really nice and kind of coastal. Actually, if I come up this end, I did put a prop sim in here with his golf bag, lighted a cigarette, which probably isn't appropriate on the actual green here. But yeah, you can see really nice views out onto the water from here, so I'm really liking the situation of this golf course. Then we come up to round the lake, and I have added in some little park life assets here and there to encourage sims to actually walk around here. So we have got a few sims walking around. There's not too many at the moment, but hopefully more will come. But yeah, more little park life assets as we go around, and then we come on to hole 9, which is obviously split, which I really quite like. And I've tried to keep areas around the greens open so you can imagine a crowd coming to watch a big golf competition might be able to stand on the path and the surrounding areas. That is particularly noticeable on hole 18, actually, I would add, where this ends right next to the big resort here. So you can imagine lots of crowds filling up these lawns right next to it here, watching as the final hole, as the final hole in the golf tournament. All the action takes place here. So I'm liking how that is. And I've actually got some crowd markers in as well, so we might get some sims. We've got 2 little sims hanging around here in the crowd markers. One mechanic. Waiting to repair the golf course, I'm not too sure. But yeah, we should get a little crowd there, hopefully, eventually, with those boom crowd markers in there, which will look nice. It will look like they've come to watch that final hole there. But it's very much the same around this side, so yeah, lots of natural detailing. I mean, if we come down to path level, you can see what it's like. The greens are really raised, but we're looking out into very natural forest with all the undergrowth around it, and then the odd a park life asset, gazebo and things dotted around. And a few little more natural paths cutting through in various different places. In the ground, so we did add in this big fountain, of course, lots of Auridon flags here as well. Yeah, actually really liking this. Wasn't too sure about the planter and flower bed arrangement in the middle at first, but actually I think it looks quite nice. It's a particular design there, that's for sure. With the fountain in the middle too. And coming onto the back of it, again, lots of bush-lined open lawn space, which I thought was appropriate for this. And then we've used a couple of sub-buildings from the main Central Park asset, which I thought was quite nice here. This looks like it has a bit of history about it, this sunken plaza as well. So yeah, quite enjoying that, with a few extra little decorative flower beds in there too. And I did connect it actually out onto this little island here, which was already formed as part of the map. And I've added a couple of little campsites, a few little activities out here again, so that people can walk over here if they so wish. But that's really the golf course. I then did also, I haven't done too much detailing around the park maintenance or the stables other than what you saw earlier, but I have also added in these little residential districts. So we've just got 3 houses here nestled into the forest, same with here. A few more over this side and a slightly larger cul-de-sac, but we're kind of filling out those slightly rural houses. And again, I've done the same over here where we've just got very, very small cul-de-sacs every now and then. A few little houses, just so people who really wanted to live on the outskirts right out of the city, they've got a place to live. So I think that rounds it off really quite nicely, but there's a couple of names that I actually haven't given to a couple of our districts. So let's go ahead and do that now. So of course I have just called this the Auridon Golf Club because why not, the AGC? I think it makes sense. Now over here we have got Woodbury Village and Chippendale Forestry, which were name suggestions by Jay Stokes. Thank you so much for those suggestions. Absolutely love those. So we have now finally named our forest industry with those absolutely great suggestions. Chippendale made me laugh a lot. Brilliant. I love a pun. And then finally coming over to our construction site as well, we have called this Auridon, which I thought was a really, really nice, appropriate name for something that's kind of it's going to be a gentrified area, and I'm thinking they could call it like the Auridon Mall or Event Centre, whatever it is that they're actually constructing out here. And that was a suggestion by Douche, so thank you so, so much for that suggestion. Absolutely, I love it. And that is the final name that we are putting into Auridon. I'm pretty sure everything else is named. If it's not, then I may have to do it in the final send-off. But there we go. That is it. So I will do some kind of goodbye for Auridon. It might be something a little bit different over the next couple of weeks, so watch out for that. But otherwise we will be starting our new modded build. Super excited to get started on that. And of course there'll just be a whole ton more Cities Skylines content coming from me on my channel in the future. So this is not the end. It's just the end of Auridon for now. But that is it for today. So if you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are as always really, really appreciated. And I just cannot thank you guys enough for all of the support you've shown over this series. 15,000 subscribers from one series on YouTube. I'm just absolutely blown away, and I'm so, so glad that you guys have enjoyed it that much. And of course, we will definitely give this city a fitting send-off, so do not worry about that. Let me know what your favourite part of Auridon was in the comments too. I would love to know. But that is all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.